What's going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best wand leveling build in Throne and Liberty. So in this guide we will choose the best skills and specializations, and I will show you in what order should you upgrade them. Then we will go over the gear, so what specific items should you get, how to actually get them, and what is the best way to quickly level up your character. So if you want to use the most optimized wand and tome leveling guide, which will get you to the endgame in just few hours, then here it is. So let's move over to our skills, and the best leveling setup is the wand and daggers. So for defensive skill, I've chosen the chaotic shield, and for active skills, we've selected the cleaving moonlight, shadow strike, inject venom, brutal incision, touch of despair, curse explosion, swift healing, corrupt magic circle, karmic haze, curse nightmare, umbral spirit, and ray of disaster. And lastly, for few skills, I need to explain them a bit further. So as you can see from the gameplay, I don't have all of these same skill icons on my bar. It is because the skill icons can change, depending on the specific skill specialization we use. So, Inject Venom will turn into the Lightning Infusion, then Brutal Incision will turn into the Thunderclouds Bombing, and finally the Umbral Spirit will turn into the Thunder Spirit. There's not one best order that you should follow when getting these skills. Simply just from level 1 to 15 unlock everything that you get, and then when you can, switch it out for our specific skills. And then on the other hand, for passive skills, we get the Assassin's Instincts, full of corruption, devotion and emptiness, Shadow Walker, Destructive Fang, Wrathful Edge, Wrath's Beacon and Vampiric Contract. And the order that you should get these passives is from level 1 to 6, take everything that you get, then at level 6 get Devotion and Emptiness, and the Assassin's Instincts. Then at level 20 add the Wrath's Beacon, then at level 25 get the Shadow Walker, then at 30 get the Destructive Fang, then at level 35 get the Vampiric Contract, and finally at level 40 get the Wrathful Edge. Next we will quickly look into the skill priority, and we want to use the quality and rare marined ore to craft quality and rare passive skill and active skill growth books. I recommend to prioritize getting all of these skills to blue first, before getting them to purple, and then for the rest of your skills, they're not as important, so just upgrade them as you progress through the game. And you mainly want to focus on upgrading the Touch of Despair, Cleaving Moonlight, Brutal Incision, Curse Nightmare, Swift Healing and Shadow Strike. Next up we have our skill specialization, and once you hit level 30, you will acquire 40 skill specialization points to use, which can modify and upgrade your skills. And then every level past level 30, you will get 3 points until level 50, which in total will be 100 points that we can spend in here. You can also reset these points at any time, so don't worry about locking yourself in one specific build. So for the Brutal Incision, we want to get the Thunderclouds Bombing and cooldown. Then for Curse Explosion, get the additional damage boost. Then for Karmic Haze, don't get anything. Then for Umbral Spirit, select the Thunder Spirit. Then for Inject Venom, get the Lightning Infusion and Resource Cost. Then for Ray of Disaster, select the Expand Targets and Cooldown. Then for Touch of Despair, get all 3, so Range, Effect Duration and Curse. Then for Corrupted Magic Circle, Curse Nightmare and Shadow Strike, don't get anything. And then for Swift Healing, get the Healing Transfer and the Consecutive Use. And for some reason, this website was bugged, and it would not show the specialization for the Cleaving Moonlight. So for this skill, you want to get the Consecutive Use and the Effect Accumulation. And for the order, I recommend to spend these points fully in just one skill, before going to the next one. So first of all, get everything as showed for the Cleaving Moonlight, then everything for the Lightning Infusion, aka the Inject Venom, then for the Thunderclouds Bombing, aka the Brutal Incision, then for the Touch of Despair, and so on and so forth. Next we have our Weapon Mastery. So in the Dagger tree, we take a look at the middle row, and get the Silent Dash, Melee Hit and Offhand Weapon Attack Chance. Then now we go down to the bottom row, and get these 3. Then again we go up to the middle and get these 3 masteries. And finally we go all the way to the top row and select everything from the range defense until the buff duration. And then for the wand and tome we take a look at the middle row and get these 4 masteries. Then afterwards we go to the top and get everything from the base damage until the greedy need. And lastly we go to the bottom and select the mana regen, enfeeble chance and spiritual focus. Next up, let's go over to the gear. And here is our overall leveling gear, which will get us all the way to 50. But depending on your RNG, you might get 1 or 2 blue pieces as well. All of this gear can be easily acquired through the main story, codex chapters, and by crafting it yourself. This is just the minimum most powerful gear that you can use to speedrun through the leveling process. I've also selected traits, but it's pretty unrealistic to use traits on your leveling gear. So while you can technically do it, I don't recommend to waste your time before you're level 50. Traits in this game is pretty much the extra bonuses on your gear, and at some point you get the option to choose them by having the same piece of gear or by having the exact version of that gear but with a different trait, which you can then add it to your existing gear. But again, if you get lucky, that's awesome, but if you can't get these traits, then that is fine as well. So first off, for the daggers, we want to get the swashbucklers and upgrade it until level 6. You can find this item's crafting recipe from uncommon weapon chests or by defeating the NPCs like the Hermit Crab, Crackle, Deathless Skeleton Knight, or the Deathless Skeleton Commander. Next we have the Wizard's Magic Scepter Wand, and as all items need to be upgraded until level 6, so I will stop mentioning it, but just don't forget about it. And you can find this item from defeating NPCs like the Stone Golem Chef, Spectromancer, Large Stone Golem Fragment, and the Spectral Shadowmancer. Next we have the Retainer's Visor Helmet, and you can get it from the Uncommon Headgear chest or by defeating the Dark Skeleton Knight. Then we have the Shaman's Cloak, and you can get it from the level 6 Uncommon Cloak Selection chest or by defeating the Lethal Venom Cobra. Then we have the Assassin's Leather Armor, and you can get it by defeating the NPCs like the Hermit Crab, Shade Assassin, Fire Orc Archer, or the Crackle. Next we have the Prophet's Magic Gloves, and you can get it from the level 6 Uncommon Gloves chest or from the NPC called the Implanter. Next we have the Holy Knight's Iron Gaiters, and you can get it from level 6 Uncommon Legs chest or by defeating the Sea Crab or the Contaminated Mintran. Then we have the Liberation Magic Boots that you can get by defeating the Cruel Orc Butcher. Next we have the Crude Wave Necklace that you can get from the Uncommon Accessory chest or by defeating the Sand Scorpion. Next we have the Crude Conquest Bracelet that you can get from Uncommon Accessory chest or by defeating the Charging Ant, Skeleton Knight, or the Grey Claw Sentry. Next up we have the Crude Wind Band that you can get from the Uncommon Accessory chest or by defeating the Iron Chestin. Then we have the Crude Stone Band that you can get from bunch of chests like the Uncommon Accessory, Hyper Boosting, Level 6 Uncommon Accessory Selection, or even from the Growth Support chests. And finally we have the Crude Vitality Belt that you can get from Uncommon Accessory chest or by defeating an Orc Fighter or a Torch Carrying Orc Fighter. Then next up we have our gear upgrades. And this game doesn't have a very typical gear progression, and by that I mean that you'll have to upgrade pretty much anything you get. So you start at Grey Gear, and you will want to upgrade it until level 3. This is because when we equip green gear, we then want to transfer the Grey Gear into the green gear. So by transferring experience from our previous war's gear, we will save a bunch of experience. And you want to do this for every single gear and weapon piece. You will be doing the same thing with blue and purple items in the endgame. So the main concept you need to keep in mind is just to upgrade your current gear, no matter what it is, and then transfer it to your new one. Next, let's move over to our stats. And as for leveling, all everyone cares about is damage and fast progression, so we want to focus mainly on dexterity and wisdom. Every level from 1 to 50 will give us a stat point to invest. As well, gear will give us additional stat points that we cannot change or adjust. So depending on our gear, we want to spend our points to reach milestones like 30, 40, 50, and etc. Because each one of these milestones will give us extra stats like more health, extra damage, reduced cooldowns, and etc. So our first goal from about level 1 to 21 is to reach 30 dexterity. Then next we want to reach 30 wisdom, which should be from level 22 until about level 42. And then finally from level 42 plus, we want to spend our leftover points into the strength. And our goal at level 50 is to reach 30 strength, 30 dexterity, and 30 wisdom. But again, the main focus is on dexterity and wisdom. And as I already said, for the weapon masteries, skill specializations, and everything else, you can easily reset these points. So don't worry about locking yourself to only one setup. And now finally we have come to the gameplay part. The main skills we will use while leveling is the Cleaving Moonlight, Brutal Incision, Touch of Despair, Corrupted Magic Circle, and Curse Explosion. Our main single target abilities are Cleaving Moonlight and Brutal Incision, so use them as soon as they come off cooldown. Then the Swift Healing, Clay's Salvation, and Vampiric Contract are your main sources of healing early game. And also keep in mind that you can buff yourself with Blessed Barrier to further increase that healing. And finally, our main AoV damage comes from the Chaotic Shield, Touch of Despair, Corrupted Magic Circle, and the Curse Explosion. So in a summary, leveling in Throne of Liberty is very simple, just follow the main storyline, and just start completing Chapter 1 until Chapter 10. In general, after Chapter 4, you should be able to craft a full set of green gear, which will take us all the way to the endgame. And that's about it. So if you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe, and comment. And if you are interested in more content, then check out my channel. And I will see you in the next one. So take it easy, peace.